Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. Tracy Stuckroth with Eating at a Meeting. I am in a Starbucks in St. Charlotte, Florida. The Wi-Fi went out, or the power went out where I'm staying at a friend's house. So I had to come over here and do a fast jump in here to do this episode. And I'm excited to bring with you this gentleman right there, Chef Mikey Termini, who is the executive sous chef at the JW Marriott Marco Island Beach Resort. And he's a Hell's Kitchen Season 7 alumni, which is exciting. He most enjoys entertaining people while feeding them at the same time. So, Chef Mikey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tracy. It's great being here.
All right, is my Wi-Fi good, Mike?
It sounds great. Yep.
Okay. And actually, to adding to the introduction is that we met Sunday night, 4 nights ago.
Yep, Sunday night
at the Financial Insurance Conference Professionals Annual Conference. Yep. And you were walking by, and I'm like, Chef, are you you want to be on my podcast on Wednesday? And you're like, sure. So thank you.
I love that. It's what I live for.
Okay. So that's what you're running around doing. All right. So how many people were at that conference? 700?
Just over 700. Yep. Yeah.
Right, okay.
I think our final number at peak time on that Sunday was over almost 800.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. And there was, for everybody to know, there was a Sunday reception for big meals, Sunday reception, breakfast, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, lunch, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or just Monday, Tuesday?
Monday, Tuesday for lunch.
Okay. And then follow up reception on Monday night, and then a dinner on Wednesday night. Seated dinner.
Right? No, our big dinner was last night. Yeah, the final hurrah.
Okay. Oh, Tuesday night. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
For that many people, what? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay. What do you do to plan a meeting, plan food and beverage for 700 people, 800 people, let alone meeting professionals?
Well, for a meeting with this caliber, we actually started planning, I want to say about 3 months ago.
Okay.
And our entire team would meet once a week and just go over every single little detail, from color of napkins to silverware on the tables, everything, garnishes on each of the food, the location, and just getting a clear picture so the team of our size can all be on the same page and there's no second guessing what's going to happen. And even in the instance of a weather call, everybody's well aware of that, what the plan is for that. So we're not caught off guard at any time, really.
Well, yeah, and that actually happened on Monday because it was supposed to be on the beach, right?
Correct. Yeah, and it was kind of amazing. A lot of the members that I passed by, a lot of the attendees, they didn't even really realize that we were so well planned for just that instance. And I mean, wow. In my opinion, everything still looked great. The flow was amazing, and yeah, we were able to execute perfectly.
Yeah, it was pretty flawless. I mean, we did a cocktail reception out there for about an hour, got to see the sunset, and then of course the rain starts. So everybody came in at the right exact time. So it worked out perfectly.
And we didn't pay weather to do that at all. It was we always make a joke about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always say
the weatherman to do that.
We call our GM Mother Nature. She tends to want to control the weather. It's
yeah, because you've got what Amy was telling me, 8-10 acres of beach out there that you can do all kinds of events out there.
Oh yeah, we love to utilize that beach. I mean, it's such a rare treat. We're only one of 2 JW Marriotts with a beachfront property. And yeah, it's part of our culture. I mean, half of the season it's called turtle season. So the sea turtles are actually nesting out on that beach, and we play a large part in that as well, making sure we're not having parties too late out there, making sure our lights are amber. So, we're very in touch with it.
That's awesome. The new carpeting, by the way, has turtles in it and with smiley faces on it. I was like, it was nice walking to my room and seeing smiley faces all the way down the hallway.
Isn't that great?
That's a whole nother topic. Yeah. Okay, so let's break down this event. So Sunday night it was outside in that, what do you call that area downstairs?
That was inside that's the main ballroom. We call it Banyan Foyer. So it's part of our screen tower, the main entryway to it, most open space, high ceilings.
Okay.
It was a great entryway for the big event.
And outside you've got that beautiful patio and grassy area as to go with that.
Yeah, our star, as soon as you come through the hotel, it's the first thing when you're actually exiting the hotel towards the beach. And again, just lots of open space, really easy to work with as far as event planning, where stages will go, where different stations will go as well.
Okay, awesome. And for that opening reception, you actually engaged the restaurants across the hotel into doing that. So it wasn't quote unquote a full banquet team event. It was the banquet team and the restaurants. Can you talk about how that was executed?
Oh yeah. So having 13 different restaurants in this property, it's something we love to showcase, and getting the collaboration of all my restaurant chefs, my chef de cuisines, it really made it a next level event. So each different station that somebody is going to is a different restaurant, and it can be completely different. There wasn't anything that really was copied or too similar. Just lots of diversity, and from our Polynesian restaurant to our Mediterranean to our fine dining steakhouse, really set it apart. So it's like you were dining in a different restaurant each spot you went to.
Well, and there was the brick oven pizza was out. You brought that outside as well. And then,
wood fire.
Yeah, wood fire pizza. Yeah. And then what was the section where there was a speakeasy and there was a caviar bar and a lobster mac and cheese, which I missed. Yeah.
Oh, that's one of our favorite things to do. We've done it a handful of times, and we actually have a speakeasy in a different spot on for different events. We've hosted speakeasy down in our basement in our purchasing department.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and this time it was in one of our brand new kitchens. So essentially transforming that kitchen into some place where somebody can come in and get some caviar, some champagne, a nice setup of food on the line, but keeping it that very commercial feel really gave it that speakeasy kind of atmosphere.
Right. Yeah. That was very fun. It was a little tight space trying to get there because everybody was standing there trying to get all the lobster. Yeah, but I like the lighting inside there was a lot of fun. So inside in the Banyan foyer too, you had that large boat of fresh seafood out there, and they were shucking oysters and doing that. So that's a large endeavor.
Oh, definitely. And we're always trying to think outside the box when it comes to presenting these events, because, what has nobody done before? And, we, in those meetings we've hosted it before the big event, we're brainstorming, okay, how can we present this seafood? What's something nobody's done? And, we're like, okay, let's get a big 18-foot canoe and we'll fill it full of dry ice and all the great seafood everybody's, very accustomed to, but
Right.
in a different way, presenting it differently.
Okay. And I'm going to jump from that to, I guess, Monday night's reception. And you had that in that same space, you had a large table with fake grass and little flower pots of vegetables. And was the other stuff served on shells or something that was sitting on top of the grass?
We actually had them in biodegradable bamboo plates, but then also in little planting pots, very, very small planting pots. We put hummus and pickled vegetables, and
which were delicious. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it was really great because we partner with a lot of local growers, and it is something we like to showcase here. So there's a local mushroom farmer that we get. It's called Lion's Mane mushrooms. They're a very large mushroom. They shred apart, and we turn that into a crab cake of a sort. And then same with our large trumpet mushrooms. We cut the bases, and that was our scallop. So completely vegetarian station there, utilizing local fresh ingredients, and again, getting to have fun with our decor and presenting is some of the best things.
How does the decor really play into getting people to enjoy the food better, do you think?
I definitely think so, because it's something we're always trained with. From the first time I started cooking, it's people eat with their eyes first. So if you're able to capture their interest right off the bat with the decor, and it brings them in and then ties into the food, it's definitely a huge part. With that event, everything was the elements. So we had fire, we had earth, we had water and air. So, almost transporting the guest into that feel of the element and then servicing the food.
And thinking of that element, because if you walked around the corner to the Banyan by the elevator, you had that other seafood display. This is a different night. And I liked the blue lighting. I think, was that on fake ice or something like that, that had the fish ceviche.
Ceviche, yeah.
Yep. And
now we had
the
colored
lobster
glass
tails.
in there
Okay.
with the lighting. And we actually picked up some local fishing nets and fishing traps to add to that decor as well.
Yep. And you had blue napkins to go with the blue lighting that was in that area. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, jumping back to Monday, or Sunday, you and I were talking about it before the show. Actually, somebody's commented here. Let's see. People eat with their eyes first. Love that. Yep. Very, very true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of chefs, they'll say, no, it's all about the flavor, it's textures, and but right off the bat, it's, does it look good? And that could turn you off right on instantly.
Well, and so then jumping back to that Sunday night thing, which I think everybody was raving about, the tomahawk steak and everything from that. Talk about that grill that you had out there and what restaurant that was that you bought that grill for.
So that was for our signature steakhouse, Ario. My chef de cuisine, he's native of Argentina, and it's a traditional cooking method with, large open wood fire underneath. We put some mesquite wood in there for some flavoring, and then of course all the herbs hanging on the top adds to that aroma and adds to the whole essence of the cooking experience.
And then everybody, I will post pictures of this just don't worry about it. I will
Of
post
course.
pictures of it.
Yep.
But the tomahawks and the chicken and something else. Oh no, at the brisket was at the bottom, but they were hanging from this grill and the fire was coming up from below it. I actually have a video of it talking to the chef. So I will that was working that station.
Yeah, it's super fun way of cooking. And, again, it goes along with chefs, always pushing themselves and fun and interesting ways of cooking, whether it's, because a lot of my background is cooking in Hawaii. So that emo style of burying the food down with lava rocks and coals, with that tradition, this is, again, it's a Argentinian style of cooking over that flame and smoking the meats and getting the flavor infused.
Okay, so I lost my train of thought, but one of the aspects of doing, and I think they mentioned it in the general session, is like every single event FICP did was every food and beverage event was at your hotel. So how do you change up the culinary experience? Because I mean, as a meeting planner and you've got 500, 800 meeting professionals in this room. How do you do that? Utilizing some of the same spaces, especially because of the weather. How do you really change the culinary aspect so they have a different experience for each one of their meals?
Well, it's almost like planning a road trip. You're looking at something that's very different each stop, and really looking at it from a step back kind of point of view to say, okay, we've got this great menu here that utilizes our local ingredients, but again, for instance, our last night, it's the Everglades was the theme, so making sure we don't double up on anything. We meticulously ensure that, oh wait, I had this 2 nights ago, and again, getting people immersed in the feeling of it, and that change of feeling is so important. But yeah, stepping back at it and looking at it from a whole picture is definitely key.
And okay, so on that note, there's a lot of planners who don't plan their food 3 months out, right? They're doing it. So what best practices do you have for planners? I mean, even if it's not a 700-person convention, if it's a 200-person or a CEO thing, really, when do you want to get involved, and how can we get chefs more involved in our menu planning versus ordering off the printed menu? I mean, to me, in a way, I thought you all were showcasing your talents because you do have a group of 700 meeting professionals in your hotel. But if it's a group of hygienists or police officers or whatever, engineers, how can planners get that same kind of experience? And what's the like magic wand to get the chefs to work with us on that?
Well, a lot of chefs are becoming much more open to that collaboration. The days of the screaming chef and the no has all gone away, and getting the meeting planners and the chefs together and getting them both excited about the event is probably that magic wand, and the open communication and the collaboration, and giving the chef the I want to say not so much the power, but the buy-in of the event is probably key. And here at our property, we do it. I don't want to say flawlessly, but we definitely push to become flawless every time. And it's that open communication. I'll get a call from one of my meeting planners for a party next year, and they said, they loved this, but they'd love to do a little bit of a tweaking on it. How can we make this more enjoyable for them? And it's that back and forth. It's that spitballing for it. For instance, I always like to do a a cooking class with some events that come in. It's usually a small event. Usually it's 10 to 12 people. And I probably adjust that cooking class a billion times. I've done it to where it's just sushi rolling. I've done it to where it's a healthy bowl class. We've gone so far as to have just a what to buy and how to meal prep at home, because the group that was coming in, they were always on the road. This was a team of salespeople that they're probably only at home 1 to 2 days a week, or they're always on the road. How do I buy groceries to not let them spoil? And I basically took my healthy bowl class and adjusted it to, their style of living. And for me, I enjoyed it because, it's thinking outside the box. It's okay.
Right.
Folks, it's okay to buy fresh organic strawberries, but put them in your freezer. You're still at least buying the frozen organic, you're not buying frozen processed strawberries. It's very good food. And they were, oh, really? Okay, that's great.
Core them and put them in the freezer. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's saving them and not wasting them. That's a great idea. Yep.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you do cooking classes. Are there any? I don't know. I was just so amazed by talking about that and coming up with ideas, and the fact that you were actually answering an email from a meeting planner and not having to go through the CSM, because that's a lot of times the problem is like, you can't talk to the chef. I have to talk to the chef. How do we get that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it is. A lot more chefs are being a lot more open, and I've sat in collaboration sessions with the meeting planner from the company, with our meeting planner here, and again, spitballing of what we're doing. I'll go back to another event we did. It was a cooking competition, almost like Chopped, and when it was just in the planning stage, I sat with them, and we tailored their cooking competition to their group. Okay, we're going to break it into pairs, and we'll allow this amount of time for the event, and just those little touches make it a lot more personal, make it a lot more special to the members and guests.
Well, and I like the fact that you did that other one, like, hey, all these people travel all the time. And so it was really for them, and it wasn't just some standard cooking class.
Cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I want to talk beverages, and I know you're a chef, but I want to talk beverages. I liked the other day that you had, Moet was at one of the champagne was at one reception. And then I'm going to because I don't drink, I love the fact that Seedlip was there. And I was carrying 3 glasses of a Seedlip drink, and everybody that's a non-alcoholic mixer or beverage mixer. I was carrying somebody, and somebody's like, oh, you Lush. And I'm like, oh, if you only knew. And I had like 8 of them over the course of the night, because it was, but how... I know she said, the woman from Seedlip said that you're starting to add those to there, but I was at a different property the other day, and I'm like, at the front bar, I'm like, what non-alcoholic beverages do you have? And she's like, ginger ale. And I'm like, yeah, no. I'm like, so are you all seeing those non-alcoholic? Are you going to start incorporating them into your corporate banquet menus?
Oh, definitely. It's the same aspect as vegan and vegetarian and gluten-free. I mean, we have to be open to the changing market and the changing flavors. And not everybody wants to have a strong drink at their meal, and they want to enjoy the night and still get that wonderfully crafted flavor to it. We're pushing the envelope so much in culinary and beverage.
My friend Derek Brown, who's a non-alcoholic bartender, he's helping me really push this forward. Oops, I'm gonna kick the table over. But I was disappointed, unfortunately, that it wasn't at any of the other events. It was just that one event.
It does tend to lay on the wayside
Mm-hmm.
But the more and more we push it, the more response we get from it.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely helps our, when it comes time to planning. Like, look, we had such a good response from that non-alcoholic. We need to have this a little bit more. And so
Right.
it's baby steps, but
Yeah.
we are it's still pushing.
Okay. Yeah. Because I would love it. And I want all kinds of other non-alcoholic beverages there. But and one CSM said to me, "Well, we don't get a lot of requests for it." I'm like, "Well, because you don't offer it. Like, if you offered it, then you might get more. Might get a lot more requests than you think you would."
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody brought up to me, and I didn't prep you in advance for this. It just popped into my head. Like the seafood boat that we saw, right? And there was a lot of extra food. How do you and I asked the chef that was doing the shrimp, and she's like, "Are you composting that?" And she's like, "Oh no, that would really smell bad, and there's lots of flies with it when there's seafood." How are you and your team managing that food waste from the back of the house and to the front of the house donations?
Well, we have a very amazing plan set up. We actually donate to a local church,
Okay.
and we're always very safe about it. It needs to be something that if it was hot, it was held hot at the proper temperature.
Mm-hmm.
We bring it right into the kitchen. It goes into disposable containers. We put it in a blast chiller so it's chilled at the proper, time. And then, of course, we do have it's a similar to composting system in our property. It's called Orca, and it takes all natural, all biodegradable ingredients, and breaks it down into just liquid waste.
Oh wow!
And we probably thousands and thousands of pounds of waste goes through that every month. From watermelon rinds in our garde kitchen to any leftover or wilting salad greens. Everything we have that goes into that just goes into normal waste. So it's not doesn't add to the landfill.
So what do you do with that liquid? I'm very curious by that.
It gets just sent out as normal, like water drain off.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. Right. So
interesting.
Dispose of it. Now it grinds up itself in an amazing fashion and just liquefies everything. But just not adding to that landfill is probably the key. And then a little personal note: I actually have a few pigs at my house.
Oh yeah.
And each day I'll bring a bucket into work and I'll take some of that waste home with me as well. So sometimes it's some cinnamon buns that were left off a buffet.
And then what are you going to do with those pigs?
Well, I am a chef, so
eventually.
They don't go to waste,
And on your Instagram feed, I saw you had some chickens too.
I do. Yes. My oldest daughter, she's actually trained to be a vet tech. So we've got a small farm, chickens, ducks, our pigs. We haven't stepped into goats or cows yet, but and our chickens just gave birth to new chicks this last week. So keeping that cycle going.
Yeah. How old is she?
She just turned 18.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. And she's studying that in high school, or she's doing that in college already?
She started in high school. She's always had an affinity to animals. So growing up, she was always exposed to definite wild animals all over. Us living in Hawaii, Wyoming. So it's her passion.
All right. Somebody just posted vet tech and a chef in the house. Yes.
Oh. It was definitely tricky breaking her heart when I was with my pigs and processing that meat. She wasn't really part of the processing of it. So
yeah, thinking about those pigs, yes.
They live a wonderful life. They're definitely spoiled pigs.
Okay, so on that note, kind of the other day, I stopped you again. I think it was Monday night, when my friend Jim, who's whole food plant based, and he was wanting to eat something, and the label said vegan, but then said contained eggs, um, which I know you're like, oh my gosh, but um, but I love the story that you told, that your wife is vegan, and you try a lot of things out at home. Do you then take those, and are you trying those things out at home to bring to the kitchen at the hotel?
All the time, all the time. I kind of play as her as my test kitchen,
Yeah.
and her from a vegan standpoint gets to influence my flavor a lot. Because in my head, and so many people that try to go vegan and go vegetarian, they're always trying to make things taste like meat, meat shape and meat flavor, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't. There's so much amazing flavor in vegetables and natural plants that you don't have to mask that. You can bring that flavor up. So she definitely helps me to develop that.
That's awesome. And then we're gonna, hopefully the events are gonna reap the benefits of that. Are you, being a planner who plans a lot of food and beverage functions, I'm frustrated by the fact that on the printed menus there aren't vegan options listed. Um, they're very hard to find. So is that really, why aren't they, and why aren't menus labeled in general for allergens? It's a whole nother like argument or discussion that I would love to have, to make our lives easier. But are you all seeing to think to put more plant-based items on the menus? Because, and going back to your conversation or your mention of the healthy bowls, you know, I think a lot of people are looking for healthier options. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, a lot of it does come with tailoring the event to the group that we have coming in.
Yep.
If we have a lot of uh, meat producers, meat farmers coming in from
Right.
the Midwest, yeah, we will probably have vegetables out there, but not a lot of vegan, vegetarian options for them. And again, it comes all to the beginning of planning it. Is this group more in tune with that vegetarian and vegan option?
Right.
Are they more leaning towards a gluten-free? Um, but again, we're taking those small steps in a large group setting, to where
Right.
if we have a burger day, we always want to have that plant-based burger available, on the
Okay.
buffet. Not they have to ask for it. And I actually
All right.
bumped into a guest a few weeks ago at one of those same events, and he said, "What's the brand of you know the meat that you're using in that plant base?" He's like, "Honestly, I will never eat a beef burger again." He's like,
Wow.
it was wonderful. Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, I've had plant-based burgers before, but this one was phenomenal." And
And did you make it
you
in
know,
house or was it a brand?
it was a brand. We use the Beyond Burger
Okay.
brand, but I did have to tell him, I'm like, sorry, one of our secrets is salt and pepper, obviously, and cooking over an open flame. You know, getting that, again, bringing out those flavors of the item that you're cooking, with that natural flame is really great too.
Um, what is your favorite vegan or plant-based dish to make?
Uh, One of the things I bring to every property I work at, it's a black bean and quinoa burger. Um, I use sauteed onions or caramelized onions. I use sauteed mushrooms in it, ground up with the black beans and quinoa. And then I make a cashew sour cream that goes along
Oh
with it.
wow.
That with a few slices of avocado on it, and
Uh-huh.
it's the greatest burger ever.
Awesome. Let's see, what else did I have? Okay, talking dietary restrictions, and I know really having those conversations. How do you incorporate? And I don't know what kind of dietary needs FICP had, but how do you look to incorporate the different dietary needs of the attendees? And are you? I teach. Hey, why not give the chef the dietary needs 3 months, 6 months out in advance from the historical perspective, and let them design the menu so that they're free of those dishes. That's what I would love to see. And I mean, you can't make an entire event vegan or gluten-free if that's not doesn't warrant the group, but can you incorporate that into the overall menu?
Oh, definitely. Especially when it comes to like a plated menu.
Right.
It's so important for those dietary specific guests not to feel left out, not to feel cheated of the whole experience. If we're serving a tortellini for one of the courses, we're going to make a gluten-free tortellini, maybe stuffed with a butternut squash instead of a duck. Because that's one of the things I know with dietary restrictions. Somebody might be sitting there next to somebody with a giant steak, and they are served a salad, and they feel left out. They feel that stigma with it, but we want them to get the whole experience, because that's what we're doing, is creating that experience of the night to tailor to everybody.
Right. Exactly. And it's hard to do, but it can be done.
Exactly.
Yeah. With some pre-planning. The okay, I'm going to bring out, I told you, I mentioned the story about Annie who works there. She's a server that's been there for 34 years. And everybody, I told this in my session the other day, 4 years ago, I actually had a slight allergic reaction to something, a beverage that was served. It was a green drink. And Annie, I think at the time was there for 30 years, but she went back and checked with the chef and watched him make it, and then came out because the label was incorrect of what was in there. It happens. And I know the front of the house is responsible for making the labels, and the back of the house is responsible for cooking the food. How do we mesh those two things so that it's safer across the board? And I'm not pointing fingers, because it happens every place. But how do you have suggestions on how we can make that process seamless?
It's over communication. We've worked tirelessly to create allergy charts for every single menu, not just in the outlets, but also for banquets. We'll host an allergy training each year, just to brush people up, because a lot of it's just not knowing. Because there are so many hands in the pot when it comes to events, especially of this size. It doesn't just need to be up to the chef and the planner. We need every one of our line staff to be aware of allergies. So when they put the sign out, they say, wait a minute, I know this isn't right. They're able to catch that. But yes, having those allergy charts for everything. And again, like you mentioned before, in all of our menus that we print in-house, just internally, we make sure all those allergy labels are on there. And so it's very clear. So each, houseman that's setting up the room, they see it as well. And so the more eyes on it, the more we're able to catch any of those little bits.
I did love that. I think it was Sunday night, I noticed on one of the dishes it says contains sesame. And so, being the 9th allergen that was just added, I was really pleased by that. So thank you for adding that. And it's definitely a challenge across the board. And we got it. And I think planners need to work with you and the chefs and the banquet teams to proof those, to make sure that they read. But we as planners don't know what your secret sauce is in the back of that dish that's printed on the printed menu. So yeah, I think it's a collaboration for sure.
Yeah, more knowledge helps everybody.
Yeah.
Communication. Yeah.
All right, I want to ask, but you've got knives behind you hanging on the wall, but what's to your right shoulder? What are all those little boxes?
Oh.
Yep. Yes.
All these up here?
Yep. Yeah.
That's actually, each one of those little boxes is a staff member on my team.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I have a picture of every single one of my staff members, my whole team of 250.
Wow.
I,
Just in the back of the house or the front of the house too?
This is all my back of the house. So
Okay.
this is all every one of my stewards, every one of my cooks, every one of my chefs.
Okay.
I have a picture of each staff member, and then I actually also have their hometown, their native country.
Okay.
Next to them. I always like to emphasize the diversity we have in our team. I have chefs from Jamaica, Argentina, South Africa, and then all of my cooks from Haiti to Thailand to Indonesia to the Philippines.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes, all over. So whenever somebody's feeling that they're not part of a team, part of a family, I look, we have diversity, but we are one big family.
That's awesome. One of the ladies I met, she was making pancakes Tuesday morning, Tuesday morning. And I asked her where she was from, and she's from somewhere in Africa. But she's like, you need to come. And she was just talking about her country so lovingly, and she's been here for like not even a year, I think. And she used to work in banquets in her home country, but she was just raving about it. It was so nice to see. Yeah, that was very fun. And okay, so talking staff, I wanted two last topics real quick. Staff and costs. So you just said you have 250 people on your team. How is the staffing situation with your property, and are you having the staffing problems that some properties are having?
We definitely we suffer from the standard all over the country.
Okay.
Every chef I talk with, it's always tough. We'll bring in a great talented chef, and in time they move up, they move on.
Mm-hmm.
Some chefs move out, and they'll take some of their favorite staff with them, almost poaching our team. Being here in our specific location, it's definitely tough. As far as the housing market, a lot of our staff has to live, even myself, I'm at least 40 minutes away from the property.
Oh, wow.
But, I live in a space where I have open land.
Right.
For cheaper housing, you get a little bit further away from the property, and that always plays a big part, because some staff will find a job that's a little closer to them. Maybe they're making the same exact money. It's not just about that. It's the distance they're traveling into work.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough one. And we've recently looked into sourcing chefs from, all over the world, where, like I said, we brought in chefs from the Cayman Islands, from India, South Africa. We're interviewing chefs that are currently in Dubai.
Wow.
Yeah, it adds more of a diversity, but it's also bringing in that outside eye is what we find as a positive to it.
Well, and you were mentioning all these people, so you can get really good culinary knowledge from them as well, bringing from their native countries, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that authentic flavor from them, instead of guessing it from a recipe. Okay, food and beverage costs. The other day I asked in my session, and I mean, this was specific coffee. I'm like, oh, how much are you paying for coffee? And I don't know how much you all charge. One planner said 75. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's cheap. There's other planners that are being charged $200 a gallon at other properties. So what do you see with the food and beverage costs right now? It costs, I mean, even before the pandemic, food and beverage was the number one expenditure. It is jumping even higher to take that level. So is it going to continue, or is there going to be a little bit of a burst so that we can start to save some money?
We'd like for there to be a break in the trend of always moving up and up and up in costs. again, something us chefs do is we're constantly looking to different vendors, constantly looking to the local market to where we can get something of a better quality and at an almost cheaper cost.
Okay.
So, it's not just, okay, this is the pancake we use forever. We're just going to keep doing it. It's like, no, we should always be open to something new.
Okay.
Especially like, for instance, this last event, we looked to different seafood vendors to get a wider variety of oysters.
Okay.
Because we just weren't seeing the product arrive that we were really used to.
Okay. And is it best for a planner to like, hey, here's my budget? I mean, and not even the food and beverage minimum, but here's my budget for food and beverage. Can you help me manage this, a specific meal into that budget? Work using the same quality of ingredients that you do.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's been countless times where we have events and it's like, okay, that's not quite the price point we want to go for. Okay, well, if we need to drop it down, we don't want to jeopardize the quality and the experience of it.
Right.
We can tailor that to it. Okay, we might not use a grouper for your tacos. We'll use a mahi.
Okay.
Still a very great fish, very flavorful,
Right.
but that's almost $10 cheaper a pound just for the
Oh,
raw.
wow. Okay. And then having those conversations with you really helps streamline that cost then, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I took this way outside of FICP, but but I appreciate you going with the flow here. I do. It was a tremendous. I loved even the breakfast, and actually last week or 2 weeks ago, I did this show just me venting about food and beverage, the breakfast options on banquet menus because they annoy the crap out of me. It's just sugar.
Yeah, you get pancakes, French toast, and fruit, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, not even pancakes. That's fancy. That's like another $15. I mean, you get a pastry, and your pastries were beautiful, by the way. Oh my gosh, they were so gorgeous. But and then I ranted, I did a video, and I said, okay, what do you eat for breakfast? And I showed frosted flakes and yogurt and whatever. And what I was surprised by, and I was surprised by your buffet on Monday morning because it really did emulate what people were responding. I felt like the pastries were a smaller portion of your buffet the other morning, whereas you had the overnight oats and you had the sausage and you had the eggs and you had chicken sausage and then pork bacon. So it did give everybody a variety of options, but it was more on that healthier side, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to looking at it in the grand picture of the planning of the event. It's all right. We had a very rich and full buffet the night before. What are we going to want in the morning? It's like, nice pressed juices,
Those were so good.
Something that's a great start to the day. Because again, especially with this, it's okay. We hit everybody really hard on Sunday night. Monday morning, we want to kind of take it easy and kind of rejuvenate everybody because we've got another lunch coming up and then another dinner. It's not just
then breaks in the middle. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was a chia seed pudding and the fresh pressed juices and even the bottled juices those were good as well. So no, I was very impressed and surprised by all of the culinary options that were available through all of the events. I was not there for the dinner last night, but everything else that I attended looked great. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, you missed our wonderful dessert coming from the ceiling then.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. I'll have to send you a video of it.
Please do.
It is one of our favorite things to do. We've done it a handful of times, but we keep pushing it more and more. So we have a 50-foot table that is down from the ceiling. We set up with all of our desserts, decorated garnished, everything like that. And then we hoist it up into the ceiling.
Wow.
And everybody comes into the dining room, they eat their meal, they have their 3 courses. And then when their dinner's done, we blast music and smoke, and all of a sudden this thing comes dropping from the ceiling, and there's everybody's desserts.
Wow. And everybody gets up and jumps on top of the dessert.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, I would love to see a video of that. That sounds awesome. It's that element of surprise, which is
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So the last question I have for you, which is what I ask everybody, is 3 it's 3 in 1. So what does a safe, sustainable, and inclusive food and beverage experience look like to you? Or feel like to you?
To me, it's something that exemplifies the area and surroundings where you're in. Not so much transporting somebody somewhere else. It's showing them where you are. For us, it's our beach, utilizing that wonderful area, natural light, maybe fire, earth colors, and again, utilizing local fresh ingredients, really showcasing where you're at. That's probably number 1.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the end of this episode. I'm going to go back and see if I've got power in my friend's place. But thank you, Chef Mikey. Oh, and actually, everybody, if you want to get a hold of him, you can find him on Instagram at Chef Mikey Termini. There, you can see his new chickens as well. Yeah. So check him out there. And he is the executive sous chef at the JW Marriott Marco Island Beach Resort. So you can also check them out. Beautiful property. And next week, I will actually be on an airplane, but I'm recording the episode beforehand and we'll post it. And it's actually, I'm coming from the PCMA Meeting Planners Convention in East Canada. So we've got some things that we're going to talk about and share with that from that event. So it won't be live, but it will be a good episode. So we'll see. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
My dad's Chef Michael. I'm Chef Mikey.
Oh, okay. All right. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for listening in and commenting here. Appreciate it. Until next time, stay safe and eat well.